We're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner podcast. Matt and Brandon here. Brandon, good to have you back, sir. You had some work-related stuff last week. How you feeling, my guy?
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's just unavoidable, and there's sometimes that other obligations are unfortunately not going to let me be able to be here. But I'm glad we were able to get things sorted and make it so that I could return back to discuss all the wonderful happenings.
Yeah, my lord.
Oh.
All right, well, I gotta go solo. And then the next morning, phone's blowing up, and I'm like, what the heck? And then, boom, more, and then more. The more, just, it was a torrential downpour of Utica City news this week.
Hey, at least, that didn't all happen right before I was like, hey, you're on your own.
Quick sidebar. Happy Fat Tuesday to those who celebrate. It is the last day of Mardi Gras. Hope you had yourself a po' boy. I mean, I know you watched one of those that Braun Strowman show that we were talking about before.
I literally watched one episode.
Oh no, you got to watch the one down in Nolens.
Oh,
they got a Cajun butter or a Creole butter barbecue roast beef and fried shrimp po' boy that I was just like, oh my god.
You're playing into my fat guy side.
I would do unsavory things for that sandwich.
I'm trying to eat. I mean, that's one of those things. That's a cheat meal day for sure. Because, yeah, I'm not sticking to any sort of nutrition at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, would it be worth it.
All right, Brandon. Well, we got, as you said, just so much news to go over. Plus, we got 2 games to talk about. We got 2 games to recap, 2 games to preview. So 4 games in total.
You got there.
I guess we'll start with the big news that came less than 24 hours after the last episode. And that was Utica City relieving head coach Hewerton Moreira of his duties on an early Tuesday morning in February.
I mean, I had it on my bingo card. It was definitely there. I was definitely kind of expecting it, but I was expecting it at the end of the season. So it was definitely a big shock when it's like, done.
Yeah, I mean, my bold prediction that I started with was it would be a financial decision made at the end of the season. Based almost more around the fact that the team had plateaued. Because in sports, there's almost no place worse to be than mediocre. Like, if you're bad, but you have a young coach and a young core and the sights were on the future, then, you can look forward to the growth. Or if you're competing and contending for a championship, you're excited for that.
Yep.
But when you're in the middle, you just are stuck in yeah, we're going to be good, but not good enough, but not bad enough to where, like, we can look forward to things getting better. And this season played a little bit more into that last part than I was expecting.
I was going to say, and look where we are now.
Yeah. So we'll quick recap what got us here.
Remember when I said that we were Harrisburg? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even Harrisburg came in and beat our M2 team.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you have a mostly M1 team play against an M2 team.
Yeah, well,
I'd expect the same thing if the Pirates showed up to play against their AAA affiliate.
Fair.
Or, even like the worst NBA team playing against a G League team.
Yep.
Just, there's a reason why these guys aren't at the top level yet. So in the 3.5 seasons that Everton was here, he compiled a 46, 33, and 6 record. That included a 2-5 record in the playoffs.
We've never
Obviously,
had a
that
good
last
playoff
part.
run.
Obviously, that last part was part of some fan frustration.
Yeah.
Um, but I think what really pushed us here is the last 24 games, which were the 13 that he had this season and the 11 last year after Kelvin was injured and left, not including the playoff one.
Yep.
So just the regular season games, the team was 8, 11, and 5. That's a 33.33 blah 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 win percentage.
Yeah, that's not fantastic.
No. So when, you come
Hmm.
in overperform a bit the first year, I think we would all agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Just
a
a
lot of people
little.
just enjoyed a lot of people enjoyed the change of pace. They
Yes.
definitely enjoyed switching from a defensive based team to an offensive based team. It was fast, it was entertaining, it was high risk, it was excitement, and then everyone in the league adapted to us.
I thought you were gonna say, and then there was you, Matt, who was just like glass cannon problems from the beginning.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was, and still
Uh,
is.
so statement put out from the team was, "We appreciate everything Everton has done for our organization. This decision did not come lightly and was extremely difficult. We wish Everton only the best in his future. We are proud to have had him as our coach the last 4 years. Our commitment for this organization is to win a championship. Our fans deserve excellence. They invest their time, their passion, and their trust in us, and it is our responsibility to match that commitment every single day. We have the pieces and the opportunity to build a championship team. Our core is strong, and the organization is committed to growing in a direction that leads to a championship for Utica."
Your typical kind of, hey,
Hmm.
we're letting our coach go statement.
Yeah. Anyone that's been around sports long enough, I mean, that's, cookie cutter. It's what you expect. Um, Everton also put out a statement. After 4 incredible seasons, my time with Utica City FC has come to an end. This organization has meant a great deal to me, and I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to lead this club. To the fans, thank you for your passion, loyalty, and energy. Utica is a special place, and I truly felt the support every step of the way. This community became more than just a job for me, it became family. I've made lifelong friendships here that I will always value. To the players, I'm proud of you. I've seen the dedication, the sacrifice, and the heart you've put into this club day in and day out. I gave everything I had to this role, and it was an honor to work alongside such a committed group. I'll always be grateful for your passion, and I truly want nothing but success for each of you moving forward. I want to wish the organization the very best in the future. I'll continue to support the club and the players, and I'll always be thankful for my time in Utica. Thank you.
If I'm honest, both seem very cookie cutter and opposite.
Hmm.
Not to say that that's a bad thing. I mean, that's
Right.
what you kind of expect from a coach departing a team. Like, there's not anything that stands out there. It's
Hmm.
just it's middle of the road. Hey, mutual separation, clearly,
Hmm.
because one side didn't make any jabs. Not that Utica's official stuff would, but like there was no jabs or anything from Everton. Just we saw the writing on the wall and we split. Frankly, I think that he knew what was going to happen at the end of the season and basically said, let's just rip the band-aid off now
Hmm.
and be done with it. That way you guys can figure stuff out between now and the end of the season so you have more time to prepare for next season. That's my guess to it.
Hmm.
Could be totally wrong, but it would make sense. If I think I'm going to be getting fired and it's just like, hey, we're just prolonging the inevitable here.
Hmm.
Like, just do it. Just get it done. Let's move on.
Yeah, I guess Utica fans, the only thing we have to compare that to is the end of the Ryan Hall era, where after an even less successful California trip. Um,
Oof.
Ryan came up to myself and another fan in the stands that had made the trip out there and said, I think that's it. I'm done. And then they kept him on for the rest of the season. Contingent, from what everything we could tell, was contingent upon making the playoffs. They missed it by one game.
They missed it by that much. Not even necessary. I mean, yes, that's technically a game, but it's like not even necessarily a game. We missed it by like
Half a game.
half a game.
Like, if Kansas City tried against St. Louis in that last game,
Yep.
because they would rather play spoiler for their rival, but they wanted to not risk getting injured, stay healthy for the playoffs. Both fair points, but St. Louis came out and kind of steamrolled them that game, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And that put an end to Utica's hopes. There's pros and cons to both.
Mm-hmm.
In the Hall situation, we saw a team that had come into the season somewhat out of shape from coming off of the COVID year,
That's true.
slowly build their way back into shape, and they went on an 8-3 run to finish out the year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I was gonna say they did pretty well towards the
They
end.
turned it around.
Yes, they did.
That team was also veteran heavy, and just like you said, they were a defensive first team that, okay, they didn't have the most speed, but they could live with that because they were about limiting the damage versus trying to put on as much damage as they could.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely a much different mindset with the Ryan Hall era than it was in the Hewerton Moreira era.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Hard time saying that one. Just, difference in how they played the game.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. It's funny how a comment that I actually made to you before we started ended up in the chat. That was not lost on me either with the beer garden.
You want to read the comment?
Yeah, so basically, the first game that Tommy was back in the interim coaching seat, because I believe he's done it before when they were Silver Knights. Not so much when they were, he hasn't
way back in the day.
Yeah, he hasn't been. Sorry.
Like I say, it was Tommy Tanner, and then I want to say Brian O'Quinn, and then Ryan Hall.
Yeah. So Tommy hasn't been a coach in a while. He's GM. He's been on the bench. So, but it was not lost on me that all of a sudden, a lot of the old players are not only on the field, which we'll get to, but also in the beer garden. Bo, Andrew, Vitali, Toby, Pereira. I always screw that one up. It's like, I know it's not Pereira, it's Pereira. There's a T in there. It's not lost on me that all of a sudden all of the OGs are back trying to support Tommy and the team in this transition. Now, whether that was a PR play by Utica, maybe, but I don't think that was. If it was, Tommy calling in some favors or whatnot, I don't think that's the case, because I think that was legitimately these guys saw what happened and was like, okay, team's going to need help here. Or maybe a mix of both. Because, anytime you lose your coach, it's a big deal. Mm-hmm. So, but it was, like I said, that was not lost on me that all of a sudden, we've got a few different OGs coming back in different capacities.
Yeah, between, like you said, on the turf and off the turf, all of a sudden, a bunch of fan favorites that haven't been seen in or around the odd, either just, they hung it up before the season, or they haven't been around in a few years.
Mm-hmm.
since they like Bo played the first season under Everton and then retired.
Yep.
Granted, he also had a child. Um, we don't know if that's related or just they're two completely unrelated situations where
Yeah.
it's no, I had the kid, that's why I'm retiring.
Mm-hmm.
Just like with Andrew.
Yep.
And like you said, was it, hey, look, the fans could use a little morale boost. Can you guys show up?
Yeah. Which, fair play if that's the case. Like, from a PR perspective, smart. You need to do something to boost morale. And whether that was, again, more of a player-based thing, even just boosting the morale of some of the players on the field. Being like, hey, these are the OGs. We got to show up now for these guys, and show them, like, we can play maybe just as well as them or something along those lines. Or if it was, just a play to the fans. Either way, it's smart because, but it wasn't even like they advertised it. Like, oh, all these previous UCFC players are going to be here. No, they were just there. And they did call attention to it. But that was after everyone was already in their seat. That's when butts were in seats. So, yep. I was going to get to that one. I left that one for another point.
I mean, from us here at the show, at the podcast, Keeper's Corner, obviously we do want to thank Everton for his time in Utica. He came on, he was very gracious, very open with us. You always want the best whenever a coach comes into a situation.
Yep.
Unfortunately, things deteriorated, and it's not obviously all entirely on him. Kelvin being signed and then the Kings League magically popping up.
Yeah.
Did irreversible, not, I don't know. Yeah, irreversible damage, to your roster plans for letting Frank Tayu walk.
Yeah. Yeah, it did not help. It did not help at all. That, okay, cool. We have this really good, awesome player that we can all look forward to, helping this team move forward in the standings. Oh, just kidding. He's not going to be here. Yeah, that does not have good. It doesn't have a good effect at all, and it just angers people.
Yeah, I don't know if you paid attention to the episode title from last week since you weren't here.
I didn't get a chance to say it.
So the last one was a quote from the end of season 1 of Ted Lasso, and the title of their final episode of that season, which is "It's the hope that kills you." And that's what it was. Is this team was given hope. We saw a quick turnaround in the first season. The fan base got excited. Both Everton and Tommy were on record talking about we're ahead of schedule from where we want to be. They added King Tayu with his 4 MVPs. And then that hope got crushed a little bit when, to get Tayu, they traded away Stefan Mijatovic.
Yep.
Who had very quickly become a fan favorite. And Frank struggled a little bit at first. He did gel towards the end of the season, had really got it rolling. But then your head coach and your 2 highest scorers on the team disappear for a international USA futsal qualifying tournament for CONCACAF in the playoffs. And so you're like, well, that sucks.
Which, fair. That's a bigger thing than MASL. But
no, I'm not going to blame anyone for answering the call for their country.
No.
But also, then last year happens where they'd signed Kelvin for the playoffs when Frank wasn't going to be around. Obviously hadn't had time to gel with the team.
Right.
Comes in, shows why in the announcement signing him, Tommy referred to him as the best small-sided soccer player in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately takes over the league, and then has to leave for Kings League World Cup. Misses a few games. The team looks bad without him.
Yep.
Comes back. Team looks pretty good again. Gets injured. Leaves again. Misses the end of the season. Misses the playoffs. So you had that hope, and it got crushed again.
Yeah. He basically showed up and showed out, and then when he was gone, that's when it hurts even more.
Mm-hmm. Like we said, since he left, this team is 8. What did I say? 8, 11, and 5.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Uh, but yeah, that hope. Even coming into this season, we're looking at the signings like, okay, well, obviously, there's not a lot going on, but Nate and Andrew were both supposed to be back, and then a month before the season, they both start announcing their retirement. And now you're looking at the roster going, oh, we're in a rebuild. But the team doesn't acknowledge that they're in a rebuild.
No.
They talk about being competitive. They talk about, so they're still feeding the fan base hope. And I think, again, that hope being completely like Titanic this season is what was the final straw. The fan base lost hope and started to not just turn on the team in the comments sections, but not show up for the team.
Yeah. Yeah. It probably was not a great execution of, building up, and then just, unfortunately, it was overpromised and underdelivered this season, unfortunately. Not necessarily what they wanted to do, obviously. No team plans on going into a season the way that we did. But you got to remember also, I don't think that they expected Nilton to be out at the beginning of the season either, and start us off in an even worse spot than we were expecting to be. And then, of course, not having Vinny, not having, of course, Calvin, which we pretty much expected. I think most fans pretty much knew that, like, we weren't starting the season with him, and who knows if he was actually going to even come back. But yeah, basically everyone's going into the season, everybody's hyped up, and then all of a sudden, like you said, Andrew drops off, Nate drops off. Nate was kind of expected, but Andrew sure wasn't. And then just not having Nilton, not having Vinny, but some of those just not getting any word on. Like, it was almost halfway through the season that there was even any acknowledgement that Vinny was gone, and that was only because he put something out. So, again, not a great execution from an organization perspective, which is unfortunate, but I don't know. You just got to improve on it. Really, that's what it boils down to. Is, we want transparency to an extent. I understand that there's obviously things that can't be shared, and yeah, it's just, the fans appreciate honesty, I think, but also I understand not going into it negative either. I don't know. It's a balancing act. It's going to be a balancing act for anyone, no matter what. And it didn't work well this season.
Yeah, you just have to manage expectations.
That's what I was looking for.
And when you never adjust your mission statement publicly, so, it's like, all right, we're still all in on trying to win this. Even though the 3 worst teams from last year dropped out, the champions dropped out, you obviously see that talent level more concentrated. And this team now has the youngest roster and the least experienced roster.
Yeah.
with what, 15 of the players on having under three or less years of experience.
Yeah, it's something around that. It's pretty low.
Yeah, it's so yeah, I mean it sucks all around. It sucks that this is how things had to end for the Hewerton Moreira era. And it sucks that it had to happen in the middle of the season.
Yeah, it's unfortunately just not. Again, it's not what we were looking forward to. It's not what we were hoping for by any means. So
Mm,
unfortunately, just not a great season, unfortunately.
yeah.
And now it's a matter of basically trying to hold it together for the remainder of the season and pick it back up next season.
Hmm.
Is really the best play at this point, which I think is what they're trying to do.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, at this point the coaching search begins. Um, Obviously the fans are going to what is it's nature as fans to want team heroes to come back and coach. I've seen people float Nate's name, Bo's name
Yep.
as being likely. Generally in sports, what happens after a coaching change is made is you see the team go in the complete opposite direction. So I'll just because the Titans have gone through three coaches changes here,
Mm-hmm.
or two coaching changes and several GM changes very quickly, succession. But they had Mike Vrabel, who was a first-time head coach, defensive-minded, non-play caller. They move on from him. They bring in Brian Callahan, who was a non-play calling offensive coordinator, who then took on the role of I am going to call plays on top of having to run the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
And he flamed out in less than a season and a half. Um, Reports for that one were that, it's the GM and president of football operations wanted to ride it out with him, try to keep some level of consistency with the young roster that they have. And it was ownership that forced the change after like 6 weeks. So now they go through the rest of that season with an interim head coach who was mostly there just to keep things running while talent was assessed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the off season comes and they hire someone and go with a completely different plan. The head coach is Robert Saleh. He's a second time. He's a retread. He failed with the Jets, but it's the Jets. Sorry, Phil Levanko. We can't really say anything about him. Um, the Titans are run poorly, but so are the Jets and Browns, and the Jets and Browns might be the worst ones of those three. So they hired this guy. He's an experienced head coach. He's defensive minded. He just ran the defense for the San Francisco 49ers this last season. And then they bring in Brian Dable as the offensive coordinator, who worked with Josh Allen in the Bills before becoming the Giants head coach. And then they go get a defensive coordinator who has worked with Saleh for years and has been a defensive coach. So it's continuity from the top down
Mm-hmm.
and experience were emphasized. So in Utica's case, Everton, you went from Ryan Hall, who was a defensive minded head coach, to Hewerton Moreira, who was an offensive minded, fast paced kind of futsal. We're going to get kind of total football going where everybody is expected to play offense and defense, both sides of the ball. We're not going to have defensive runners.
Right.
So if I had to put money on it, I would expect the next head coach to kind of be in that defensive mindset. And Everton really didn't have assistant coaches in his time here.
No, he did not.
I could very much see if they go inexperienced defensive coach trying to get a somewhat experienced offensive coach as an assistant.
Yes, I think you need that regardless. I think that was honestly part of the downfall here. And I talked about it a couple weeks ago the last time I was here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think one of the issues that we had was that we only had the one perspective, and we needed someone to offset that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think, well, I don't want to jump ahead, but if you think about it, with what happened with the coaching on Monday, which we'll get to,
Mm-hmm.
That's already started with Tommy being the interim. So I don't know. I think that it could be interesting. I have a couple of thoughts on who I would like to see potentially come in as coach. Believe it or not, they are not. They have never played for this team.
Okay. I figured we'd throw a couple names out there, then move on to the roster changes that have happened this past week and wrap up the coaching for now. Brad, you want to give a couple names that you thought would be interesting?
So, I mean, I'll just kind of go with, I've got one obvious one and one not so obvious, because we had already kind of talked about them in terms of like Nate Bordeaux. You know, I know we've been talking about him a lot. I thought potentially if, you know, we could look at someone who has been on the team, and maybe has some coaching. I don't know if he has coaching experience though. It's the only thing. I actually started thinking about Junior, Alan Carr Jr.
Okay.
Like my head kind of started going his way a little bit because he has some experience with the team. He's also but he is more of a similar mindset to Everton. So that's why I don't know if we would necessarily go with someone with his perspective. The other one, I don't think it would happen, but it would be wild to see. And it is somebody who has a little bit of at least assistant coaching. I don't know what other coaching experience he has in the league or just in general. I think it'd be wild to see Danny Waltman. He's been an assistant coach for Tacoma before, and he's absolutely going to be a defensive-minded person given what he played. You know, what he plays, I should say. Like, I think that would be a wild choice. I don't know his coaching experience to an extent. But I just know that he has been, in previous years, he's been like the assistant coach of Tacoma, things like that. So he has some experience in this league, but not much. And I just think that would be, you know me, I like to throw out the wild cards here. And that's what I'm going with, is the wild cards. So.
Okay. I also had three kind of in mind. I'll say 3.5 because one of them is a coaching duo that has worked together. And I'll save them for last because I think they'd be the ones that would get the fan base the most excited.
Okay.
But if you want to go based just on experience, I'm going to say the former head coach of the Milwaukee Wave, Juliano Oliveira, who was relieved of duties ahead of this season, despite having only one losing season in 10 years. He had the team just outside of the Ron Newman Cup playoffs last year. They made it to the semifinals. He does have a championship on his resume. Like, that is sustained success for a decade in the MASL. If you want a proven track record, Jules.
Do you know what's hilarious? I was quite literally, I could share my screen right now and show you that I was quite literally opening up the 2022-2023 Milwaukee Wave roster because I couldn't remember the coach's name, but I knew that he wasn't there because Marcio Leite has taken over. So I was going in the same direction.
So I don't know how true it is, but one of the publicly claimed reasons that they moved on is Wave ownership changed hands,
Mm-hmm.
and the ownership runs a youth organization as well, and Jules coaches for an opposing youth organization and wouldn't leave that one. Whereas Leite already coached within the organization that is owned by the new owners. So it was just getting rid of a conflict of interest that
Mm-hmm.
they saw. That was it. Um, Inexperienced, fan familiar, probably overlooked. He has been coaching youth since retiring. And if you want to go back through our episodes, I have mentioned this guy at least twice as a potential future head coaching candidate in the MASL. That is one Lucio Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Offensive, but physical. That's just the style of play he had. He was a two-way player. One of my favorites when he was here. Just, that is another one that I think would get the fan base a little excited. I don't know how many fans remember how good he was the first couple of years in Utica before moving to Florida and then Baltimore, then coming back and bouncing around at the end of his career.
Right.
Um, but when the team first came here, he was doing what Nate was doing the past couple of years, which
Mm-hmm.
was he'd come on the turf and he was that calming presence that could slow things down and reset the offense and get things going again, but also wasn't afraid to get a little scrappy on the defensive end,
Which we
even as
needed.
an older veteran player.
Yep.
Um, and then my third duo has experience at the M2. One of them was actually, they both were technically in town. Both of them played on Saturday, though they were on opposing sides. Former coach of the Rochester Lancers and his assistant, Jake Schindler and Joey Tavernese. You want an offensive, defensive. There's experience at M2. The Lancers were one of the best teams in M2 under them before they couldn't get the proper arena and had to drop down to M3 and then ended up out of the league because of the Rock City boom.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And you got one that would get like the Utica fan base screaming like little girls at a Jonas Brothers concert in 2008. That would do it.
I'll give you that one. Yeah, I think that would. I mean, obviously, that would 100% get the fans going. Like, no question there. Would they do it?
I don't know.
I don't know about that, but yeah, yeah.
But again, there's a lot of time for the search to take place. I don't expect to hear anything before
Oh,
April or May, probably after the Ron Newman Cup is decided.
I think June area, honestly. Little bit later, but early enough to get people talking.
Yeah. Well, you also have to early enough to finish evaluating roster and targeting free agents.
Right.
Because
That's true,
you
too.
want that game plan in place before other teams might try to grab guys back right at the start of free agency.
Yeah, because if
We
they
did see
come,
we did see a little movement earlier in the offseason last year, which I'd like to see a little more of. More NBA or NFL than MLB. But
there was one more I was trying to remember, and Michelle's gonna hate me because she's literally like one of her favorites. Oh my god, how did I not remember Mooj?
Freddie Mugin. I mean, he has his
And another one that I know wouldn't happen.
yeah,
Pipe
prep program
dream.
up in Canada again. But yeah, he has spent his retirement coaching youth and getting them into college level
Yeah.
or professional careers.
Yeah. Like I know he's got his own thing, and I know he's not. I know it would be again a pipe dream, but it would be that would be another one that at least would at least from the OG
Mm-hmm.
fans' perspective, blow the roof off the place. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that would be a wild choice. But again, that's very unlikely to happen, given how his what he's got established.
Yeah. All right. That's put this to bed then. Again, just thank you to Hewerton Moreira for the memories. They were good, they were bad. That's sports. Obviously, we wish it didn't have to end this way, and wish him nothing but the best moving forward. Hopefully, he catches on somewhere, whether that's MASL, MISL, some futsal league, whatever. Wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, I'm sure
Anything
that.
you'd like to add?
No, I was just gonna say, I'm sure that he'd he'd definitely bounce back. I mean, it's not it's definitely not like the end of the world getting
Mm-hmm.
because they never really said like, oh, he got fired or something like that. It was just you could tell that this was very much mutual. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely I don't know if we see him coaching in like the MASL in the future, or at least the near future.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'd be interesting to see. I would be interested to see where he lands. So I might maybe try and keep up on that for whatever's publicly available.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, wish him nothing but the best, and appreciate the time he was here.
Mm-hmm. All right, Brandon, let's talk about the roster because a whole bunch of changes were made before we could even get to the games this weekend.
Boy, ain't that the truth?
We'll start with the M1 signings. Then we'll go M2 signings. Then we'll talk about the trade that happened. There were two signings at the M1 level. We'll start with the newcomer, Francesco Pagano, who was signed. Target forward. I don't know how much you paid attention to him in the games this weekend. Big dude. Very much fits that like Bo Yelovitz body type on paper. Um, he has only 2 games of M2 experience. They were with Krishnik, and he scored 7 goals and had 3 assists in those 2 games. Outside of that, he was a graduate player for Lemoyne this past fall.
Mm-hmm.
In 11 games, he had 5 goals and an assist. Pretty good for outdoor. And in 2023, he was part of the NCAA D1 National Championship Syracuse University soccer team. He was a bench player. He did have some minutes in the playoffs, including in the championship game.
Okay.
Uh, you know, another young piece because the team doesn't have enough of those, but we'll see what happens. Given the trade that occurred, it might make sense to add him as a new target forward since we moved on from a target forward. And given his ties to Central New York, hopefully the kind of guy that can become a fan favorite over the years.
Yeah, I mean, again, definitely seems like he seems like a depth for the
Mm-hmm.
moment. And I guess when I say depth, I really mean we just needed to show that we were making some adjustments, and we're trying. We're trying to do something. To me, the way that from what I've seen so far, because there wasn't much to see of him this weekend, he tried, but he was kind of it was kind of like it wasn't as bad as watching Drew Taylor in his first game against Chihuahua.
That was his second game.
Second
His
game.
first game was
Sorry.
a half against Harrisburg.
His first full game. His first start. Like, it wasn't that bad, but we didn't really get to see much. And what we did see was not fantastic. So the jury's still out on what we're going to get from him. Again, for me, for this season, expectations are they're going to show up. My expectations, and that's not a knock on the team by any means. It's just I'm just curbing my expectations at this point and setting them pretty much as low as they can, because then there's no place to go but up, because you can't go down into the floor. I hope not. So yeah, I mean, it's just I see potential, but again, it's not a big sample size, and there wasn't much to see this past weekend rather, from him. So more to come on him, I think.
Yeah, like I said, all of 2 games experience at M2.
Yeah, so very, very green.
Mm-hmm. And then the biggest fan-related signing was the return of Joey Tavernisi. It is his third stop with the franchise. Started with the Rochester Lancers, made his way to the Silver Knights, went down to Florida, came back to Utica, went back to Florida on a trade, ended up in Harrisburg for a couple of years. He was an all-star last season, commissioner's vote, but we did a little campaigning for that here on the show. He's coming off of a 19-goal, 7-assist season for Harrisburg, which was his highest point per game since 2021-2022. Thoughts on this one, Brandon?
Do you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
Number one, am I happy to see him back? 100%. Very happy to see him back. I think that, and I know some people disagree with me because I already see it in the comments, PR signing.
Mm-hmm.
Partially, not completely a PR signing, but a PR signing to try and drum up fan support when it is at an all-time low. Because it is. Let's be honest with how the season's going. The fan support, the fan interaction, the fan experience is
Disengaged.
very disengaged, very, very, very low. Very low. I mean, obviously, if I'm curbing my expectations that, hey, the team's going to show up, that's kind of how I know I'm not the only one who's feeling that. So again, I am super happy to see Joey. I was very happy to be able to catch up with him on Sunday, and have a little chit chat with him at 72 after the game. Was super happy to be able to see him again and see him back on the field with his hair. Of course, he didn't even have the wildest hair considering Jake Schindler.
Yeah, Peter Pan's looking a little more Robin Williams and Hook than Return to Neverland.
Yeah. But I sincerely think, and the fact that the second game he didn't actually play, but was more of almost like a assistant coaching type role. Again, I think a little bit PR, a little bit just giving a second set of eyes for evaluation on the team. And looking ahead. That's my interpretation of what I'm seeing so far. But 100% super happy that he's back. Which tells me that it's working. If it's working for me, being happy that one of the OGs is back, I'm not going to be alone in that, and I know that.
Yeah, we've asked for some veteran leadership. He certainly offers that, whether it's as a player or as a assistant coach on the sideline.
Yep.
Um, just to be a second set of eyes for Tommy. And we know what we're getting with Joey Tavernisi, which is a sneaky backdoor tap in every other game or so.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we've been asking for some sort of veteran leadership to come back. We got it. You can't say that we didn't. We asked for it, and it's there. So, and I mean, you could see him on the field when he was playing the first game. I mean, you could see him like directing traffic basically for any like set pieces, anything like that. Like he was directly involved. So, I mean, you can tell he's trying, and I appreciate that about about what he's trying to do here. So, interested to see where that goes. I don't think we'll see much of him producing, but we'll producing goals, producing numbers basically. But there'll be some input there on the team overall.
All right, M2 signings. Two former Utica players signed with UEKFC this week, and that is Mo Ndiaye and Nelson Santana. Santana, his M1 contract is controlled by Baltimore. He's only played one game for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if this foreshadows a chance of him coming back to Utica, or again, it's just he wants to play soccer and Baltimore's not using him.
Yep.
He did have a goal and an assist in that one game for Baltimore. Over the past 2 years, he's played 42 games for Utica, 21 on 24. That's reliable enough, especially for someone who, let's point it out, because he is 47 this season.
Yeah, he's up there.
That is Julio Franco levels of experience. And if you don't know who Julio Franco is, go back to like a baseball game from the 90s because he was in those and then he was still there late into the 2000s. And then after he fell out of MLB and retired, he went to independent ball and just kept playing for years. I think the dude was in his 50s by the time he actually hung up his cleats for the last time. Um, he calmed down a little bit last year for Utica. Didn't have the I don't know how to put it nicely, the dumb penalties that cost them a couple times in his first season. Which is not the kind of maturing you expect to see from a player who's been around for over a decade.
Right.
But you love to see it when it happens. Somebody was able to teach an old dog a new trick.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just have to see what happens if Utica can get his M1 contract, or if he's just another have him in the community so he can, oh, maybe I'm just hanging around practice and giving a couple pointers. They're not paying me for it. I'm just here because I like soccer.
At minimum, I don't see him. Sorry, I just wanted to chime in for like 2 seconds. Yeah. I definitely don't see us getting his contract this season. I think it would be, if he does come back, it's going to be an off-season signing. But I don't see us getting him from Baltimore, unless, I mean, maybe that was the other trade that we made, and that's why we were freeing up some capital to maybe potentially make that happen. But I don't think so.
Yeah, we'll have to see what plays out before the trade deadline.
Right.
The other signing for Krasnick is Mo Ndiaye, as mentioned. He played for them for one game back in 2023 or 2024. This is his first MASL action this year. He had 6 goals and 12 assists in St. Louis last year. When he played for Utica, he had 7 goals and 20 assists. Both of those were in 19 games played in that season. Brandon, how much do you remember of his tenure in Utica?
I mean, from what I remember, like he did make some good. He was a opportunity maker. He wasn't necessarily. He was someone who could score on his own. But he was more of an assist machine,
Hmm.
which is not a bad thing at all. Not a bad thing at all. I also remember a lot of off-field issues. He was a
Yeah,
very prolific character, both on and off the field, and not always in the best way.
I wouldn't even say it was off field because it started on field.
Well,
He
fair.
and Everton got into some kind of spat on the bench at a game down in Baltimore,
Yep.
and then he was not around for a few games.
No, he was not.
Whether that was him leaving the team or him quietly being suspended by the team was never made public.
Hmm.
He did eventually show back up, play that one tune-up game for Krajisnik, and then was inserted back into the lineup.
Right. Yeah. Again, another one that didn't exactly get along with Everton and is sort of back
Mm-hmm.
in some capacity the moment he leaves. Um, Again, Nelly does not fit the younger, faster uh, aesthetic
Mm-hmm.
that Everton was going for. And Mo, again, they butt heads. We get it. So the fact that both of them come back, but just not to M1 is, I mean, again, obviously Nelly couldn't unless
Mm-hmm.
we traded for him, but Mo, we could have. So I don't know if that's like, hey, we're trying it out with the M2 squad, see how he, meshes with them and see if we want to pull him up or what is going on there. Or again, if it's just we want to help, we want to have him around so that they can all train together
Mm-hmm.
and get some, I don't know, get some knowledge out of him. I'm not sure. That one's a tough one for me to gauge.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to take a guess at it, I would say it's more of a see if he can get back into soccer shape after not playing since last spring.
Yeah, I could go with that. I could agree with that.
Um, Trying to find him on the roster from Baltimore last year just to see what his this year needs to get in game shape. He looked a little gassed during the M2 games. All right, thank you for that in the comments, Sean.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd heard a little bit of there was definitely some rust on Nelly as well.
mhm.
Um, just a couple of misplays in M2 as well. So definitely I know he had some turnovers and things like that. I still have to actually go back and watch that game. And spend the money so I can actually watch it. Um, not salty, not bitter. Um, so, but I did hear that wasn't the best showing for him. So, yeah, definitely some ring rust or something going on there that he has to work through. Which is maybe why Baltimore's not using him either.
Mhm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, those are the two M2 signings. If I can get this janky web page to load ever, I will
Good luck with that.
give you the age for Mo NDI because I think he's young enough to be around for a few years. But um, yeah, let's talk about the trade then, because there was one trade made as well at the end of the week. Barbaro Chalier was sent to Empire for cash considerations, an undisclosed amount of moolah.
Boy, cash consideration gets around the league, like all over the place, and plays on
Yeah.
multiple teams at the same time.
Okay, so
Just gloss over me. I see
July
how it is.
97. So he will be 29 this year. So Mo's only 28. So plenty of uh, gas left in that engine if he wants to stick around, or if they want him to stick around.
I don't know if you're just ignoring my joke or if you're just.
No, I was doing math in my head, and I am so burned out right now that I was too hyper focused on that to catch your joke.
It's fine.
Something about money getting around a lot.
Not money. That cash considerations guy. He gets around the league. He's all over the place, sometimes playing for more teams than one.
Yeah, we really haven't heard of PTBNL this year. Player to be named later.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't seen that. In a couple of years, really. I mean, you just see cash considerations. Like it's not like they're still working out a deal behind the scenes. It's just like, here's money. Just take it.
So Chalier goes and joins Obasi, who I mean, physically they're practically doppelgangers.
Yeah. I've been saying that all season.
Yeah. He played for Obasi in TST, so they are familiar. For Utica, he had 20 games or 20 goals and 8 assists in 25 games.
Mm-hmm.
He was starting to come into his own this year. But like I said a few weeks back, a lot of his goals tended to come in games where they were down big.
Right.
And he was capitalizing on lax defense. Nothing wrong with that. You'd just like to see that consistency develop into closer games.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's again, wish him the best. Hopefully he meshes with the Obasi ball style of play well and doesn't do anything against us when we play later this year.
Yeah. I think he'll definitely thrive in that Obasi ball setup that they got going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them, I don't see any problems with them, just meshing their styles at all. So they'll do just, he'll do just fine over there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, absolutely. Wish him nothing but the best, and kind of wish we weren't seeing him leave.
Yeah, but we don't know what was going on behind the scenes, if there was something to do with that, or if it was like, well, they want him, they'll give us money, and our attendance hasn't been the best this year, so we could use that.
I was like, we could use some money. Yes, exactly.
All right. Brandon, we've been doing this for an hour, and we're just getting into our game recaps.
A lot of stuff happened this week, okay?
This past week. Hope anyone that showed in was ready for the longest one since the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Half of that was us being like, hold on, we're going on pause to go find somebody to talk.
Yeah, no, this is God, just so much that happened in a span of a week.
And it's not like it's easy stuff to talk about.
No, it's not just like, oh, hey, this happened.
Mm-hmm. ...
Done.
All right, so game recaps. Let's kind of run through them as fast as we can just to get moving along here. Versus Baltimore, 8-7 shootout loss. Heartbreaker for Utica fans. Gordy tied it late to force overtime. Murshad Ahmadi with a career-high 4 goals. 5 o'clock on the West Coast. 5 o'clock on the West Coast.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate that.
I can ask my friend that lives in New Zealand what time it is there. I went to college with this guy. He's probably just waking up.
Listen, we don't need to hear nothing from you people living in the past. You got to look
Yeah,
forward.
5 p.m. already happened.
That was like 3 hours ago.
Uh,
uh,
all right, Brennan, I'll open it up. I got two stats to tell the story in this one. Number one, the largest lead was Baltimore, 6-4. No team was able to pull away, really. And
that was actually one of mine. I'm
the
dead
other one I wanted to
serious.
point out is that there were 7 cards in this game. We know these teams don't like each other. Physical, yellow cardy stuff going on as well. Just what you expect from a Utica Baltimore game, honestly.
Yeah, this was. I was basically thinking it throughout the entire game. This was a by the books, old school Utica versus Baltimore game. The whole time you did not know who was going to win this game.
Mhm.
And it was a very telling thing that it had to go all the way to a shootout, with no victor until literally the last shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just it was a very by the books game. And if you what's crazy to me is the score sheet. Did you happen to see that?
Which part?
The fact it's identical.
No, I didn't look that much into.
First
I went
quarter.
for the big obvious ones, man.
First quarter, they both scored 1. Second quarter, they both scored 2. Third quarter, they both scored 3. Fourth quarter, they both scored 1.
Yeah, so they were tied all the way, basically.
Literally, like, you could not have a more even match. Granted, it had different distributions, specifically in the third, but it was all just the battle of the quarters. And, I mean, we were tied up at the end of every single quarter, which is wild. But yeah, it was just, this is the old school Baltimore versus Utica games that we've watched in the past, and just have you on the edge of your seat the entire game because you don't know which way this is going to go. And now, granted, it unfortunately sucks because now they are up in the series 3-2 against us, but we still have one more game to play. And if we can tie it up for the whole season, it's a much better improvement than last season. I never really gave you a stat, but I mean, I kind of was right on board with the fact that it wasn't really, the lead never extended beyond 2, but mine was just really just the fact that it was 4 quarters of ties and 5 quarters, technically, because of overtime.
Do you have a play that changed the game?
Again, that's another tough one because it was just so much back and forth. I'm trying to think if there was anything that specifically stood out to me. And I think if I went back and watched it, I would probably be able to figure out something. But just based on the information from when I physically watched the game, there wasn't something that necessarily was like, wow, that really changed the course of things, or just led us to where we ended up.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very back and forth battle. It's hard to pick one in this. I settled on the Amati game tying goal at the end of the third, where he jumped the pass, took it on his own, and tied it up. You got that momentum going into the fourth quarter. It ended up not really panning out because teams traded goals on a double player blue card.
Yep.
So 4v4. but it fired the crowd up. It tied things back up after Baltimore had gone up 6-4. It was a solo goal, and it was proactive defense.
Yes.
The thing that has been happening to Utica so much. Somebody saw a bad pass, a lazy one, and said, "No, that's mine," and then capitalized on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, which one was it? I actually did have one, and I can't remember which goal it was. But we did have one goal that was caused because we played it back. Instead of we were on the counter, and things got, and instead of based on what I was looking at, it was a clear time for a push. Just sprint up the field and go for something. It was a quick counter play that needed to happen. And instead, we held it back like we usually do. And when trying to hold it back, we ended up giving it up and giving up a goal within like 30 seconds. I'd have to go back and see which one that was, but that right there, that was the play that I was trying to think of. That's the one that sticks out in my head the most, because it just shows that the holding back not only it hasn't worked for us, but it's making us get scored on.
It's actively hurting the team.
Yeah, when you have a high press team like Baltimore, because they absolutely are, and if they feel like there's weakness or there's blood in the water, they're going to go for it. And they did, and they scored off of it. So I'm pretty sure I'd have to guess and say it's probably one of the ones in the third, considering they scored 3. But I'd have to look back at the tape.
All right, that'll do. We'll cover those for Baltimore. Move on to the St. Louis game on Monday. A 6-4 loss. That was almost tied at 5 if the Post was a little bit more friendly to Gordy.
Yeah.
Brandon, do you have a stat that tells the story for this one?
So for the ambush game, this to me felt like how do I want to put this? Felt like the gauge hit E right towards the end of the second, or even just really going into halftime. It felt like our gas gauge just hit E, because we had a long night the night before, and it ended up, I think, really biting us, because the second half, the record was 4-1. They scored on us 3 times, once in the third, or I'm sorry, 4 times, once in the third and 4 times in the fourth, and we only got 1 in. So, I mean, we had a very, very bad second half, and to me, that tells me that we were just tired and we were making some bad decisions. I mean, you look at the penalties. I mean, how many? What do we have? 3 shootouts? So it's like, we're tired. We're not making the greatest decisions. We're not making the greatest tackles, the greatest plays. And in the second half, we just really pay for it. So it just seemed like, we were gassed.
Yeah, so you nailed one of mine. I put three down for this that really stood out to me. Tammy got one of them in chat. The shots on goal comparison. Utica was outshot 28-15. Like, you're just gonna find the net more if you're shooting twice as many times.
Yes, you are.
It's just gonna happen. Like you said, they gave up 3 shootout fouls. Fortunately, Brian Wilkin and Andrew Taylor stood tall on 2 of them, only allowing 1. That's a great rate, 1 for 3.
Agreed.
But the team also went 0 for 3 on power play chances. there was some off-ball movement, but like we've talked about so many times on this, nobody is going into the middle of that 1-2-1 or box zone, whatever St. Louis was running yesterday, I forget,
Mm-hmm.
to try to get the ball, force the defense to turn inwards on itself, cause it to collapse, and then kick it out to an open shooter.
Yeah.
And I know that's simplistic, but there's a reason why that's how zones have been attacked for decades.
Yeah, it's I mean, they have a very not I don't want to say unbreakable defense, but they get set up and that's it. They are set up.
Yeah, they had this good young player that man, I would love to see him in Utica. This Jace Berger guy,
Yeah.
another one who middle of the season disappeared from the team, was put on inactive, and then shows up on another team the next year with no explanation from what actually happened.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was another one that just kind of a kick in the pants
Mm-hmm.
because it seems like a younger uh growing promising talent that unfortunately didn't stick around.
Mm-hmm. Brandon, I'll let you take the play that changed the game first because I kind of told you mine off stream, and you know how I tend to get on these.
So this one again, this one's kind of tough because it's hard, and the reason I say that is it just seemed like there was a lot going on in this game.
Mm.
We it's another instance where we went up, we were good for a little while, and then we kind of again took our foot off the gas or ran out of gas. And trying to think if I really have one. That's the hard thing with these, with the kind of the plays that change the game. It's like, did something really change it, or was it just on a certain track from the beginning? So I
I'm just
can't
gonna
really
address
think of
that.
one.
Hello, Marshall. How are you doing, sir? Marshall used to work for me and then work with me for years. He just popped in chat, so, and I'm assuming that is him blowing up the like react in chat as well. Look, okay, so I have two that came to mind, and they were both frustrating for similar and different reasons.
Yeah, it took me a second
Um,
to remember.
First one is the failed challenge on the Williamson goal, where Tommy challenged that a foul was committed because Williamson ran through and then pushed down Juana Lava
Yep.
while he did not have control of the ball. Um, and challenged it, and I knew right then it's not going to get overturned. Not because it's wrong, but because Ryan Sigich does not overturn his own calls. Um, I was watching Under Review a few weeks back where one of his calls ended up on it, and he was like, "Yeah, I asked our referees, and 82% disagreed with me." And I'm like, well, man, you might have been wrong then,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't acknowledge that. You don't have the humility to admit that mistake.
Yeah. I just
And maybe
rewatched that one actually.
that might just be my science trained, because I went for environmental science. That's what I did, where you go with the consensus of experts. Like 99% of scientists say anthropomorphic climate change is real. We're going to give equal time to the 1% that disagrees. There's a reason why the 99% agree. That 1% is not as valid as the 99. So when the vast majority, like it wasn't like a 55-45 tight split for that decision a few weeks back.
Mm-hmm.
It was 82% was like, "Nah, Ryan, I think you're wrong." And he just kind of very politician-y, waffly non-answer. I turned it off and I haven't watched one since because I'm like, oh, okay. So this is why I've said if he wants to be the head of officials, he should not be on the turf, and all he should be doing is acting as an unbiased or as unbiased as you can be
Hmm.
third party for video reviews because we know that people are less likely to admit their own mistakes. That's just
That's in any
basic human
situation.
that's basic human knowledge.
Right.
Um, but it directly cost a goal. And like I shouldn't have that confidence that this isn't going to get overturned because of who the official is
Hmm.
before that even happens.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, you should be able to have some sort of confidence that
they're
this is
willing to
being. I think I know what you're going to
give
say.
it a fair chance.
Yeah. Give it a fair chance and just be able to say, "Hey, I'm wrong." Admit
Uh,
that you, hey, I made a mistake in the moment and made a bad call, and I'm willing to acknowledge that. And a lot of people aren't going to do that because it's impossible. Well, it's not impossible, but it's
mhm,
humiliating, quote unquote, for many people.
mhm.
I did think of one, actually. It's not a play
Yeah.
though. Stop playing Sweet Caroline. I said it before, I'll say it again. Stop playing Sweet Caroline. I wasn't even there and I knew it got played.
Hmm. The other one is another officiating snafu that led to the fifth goal for St. Louis,
Yep.
and that was where uh, you know Brian had the handling call um, outside of the box. Arm went up, it caught him here, but unfortunately, that is the correct call on that. Blue card. He goes into the box. Andrew Taylor comes out, makes the save on the shootout. Power play ends. Gordy came out of the box because you can't change goalkeepers live like that.
Mm-hmm.
Play continues. Eventually, there's a foul. Utica fouls. Play stopped. What's supposed to happen is Wilkin is supposed to be allowed out of the penalty box at that point, and they didn't. And a quick restart happens instead
Yep.
because the officials just I don't know. Maybe they just had a song stuck in their head or they forgot about him or something.
Yeah,
Or,
it's something along
like
those lines.
Austin was tired because he officiated the game before, and now there's been another 7 card game, and that's just taxing on you. I don't know what was going on, but they failed to do their job. I don't think Wilkins stops that shot.
Yeah,
But I don't know if having him out there directing traffic prevents it.
that's fair. Yeah. I
And
mean,
like, I will critique the refs, and I will also have also said like I do not blame them for costing teams games unless they are directly influential in it. And this is the first time since the Shane Butler incident that I can firmly say what they did cost Utica 2 goals. How much did Utica lose by?
2 goals.
What
Yep.
would have been the score without those 2 goals before the empty netter at the end that iced it? It would have been 4-3 Utica.
I couldn't remember if it was 4-3 or 3-2, but yeah.
Or 3-3 Utica scored, went up, would have gone up 4
Yeah.
through, and then icing it. Yeah.
Yep.
Get rid of those 2 goals. It's frustrating enough as a fan when the team is going through all of the challenges that it is: coaching change, roster change, veteran team to young rookie sophomore heavy team,
Right.
and then it's not 6-on-6, it's 8-on-6 on a couple key plays.
Mm-hmm.
Not even saying intentionally 8-on-6.
Right. Yeah, because
I'm saying like uh Mike the Situation Sorrentino at the roast on Comedy Central telling jokes that aren't funny and not getting laughs and being confused levels of like what is going on? Why is this happening? Why are we watching it? How is this allowed to keep happening?
yeah, it's unfortunately, when we see these things, I mean, you have them in every sport. You're obviously some more so than others. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have those that are always going to disagree with anything called against us. You're going to have those that are going to be upset against a lot more of the blatant stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ergo, something like this that really felt like it should have been called the opposite way and wasn't. And, then you're going to, of course, have those calls that you're really going to question, like, how did you not call that this way?
Mm-hmm.
And, this game definitely had some interesting ones that occurred. Not the, I mean, they're not the worst ones we've seen, but they definitely made the game go a certain way.
Mm-hmm. No, like the embellishment call on Gordy from where I was sitting didn't look like that much embellishment, but watching it back on tape, it's like, oh man, he barely touched you and you went flying.
That's what Gordy does. He's notorious for it, which is why a lot of refs don't call much in his favor.
Hey, Brandon, I really need a refill. You want to take like a 60-second pause here for a second while we
Yeah,
I get a drink?
yeah. Then we can just refresh the glasses and yeah, we'll be
Yeah,
right
we've been at this
back.
for an hour and a half. We got at least a half hour to go.
Be right back. And
All
we're
right.
back.
I'm here.
All right. Yeah, I kind of transitioned back at a weird time for somebody, you know.
Sorry, came unplugged.
Oh,
Realized battery was running low. Anyway,
battery low. Please
get some
charge
good
now.
quality H2O. I know that Katie does not get that reference.
Oh, has she been educated?
I'm sure she does not understand that foosball's the devil.
That foosball is the devil, Bobby Boucher.
I like Vicky Valancourt. She showed me her boobies, and I like that too.
That was the next one. It was in my head. Oh, that's
Also the oh no, we suck again. All right, so we've covered both games as much as we're going to. We got just cover what needs to change. Any positive takeaways out of this? Look, I'll open up on what needs to change. Gotta just I Tommy's goal is to simplify things. They were running more man defense this weekend instead of zone. That said, still got to clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
Got to clean it up. One of the goals on the Baltimore game, I forget which one. There was 3 Utica players watching the ball and a Baltimore runner going right behind him, completely unchecked.
Yep. Yeah, that was, losing track of our runners was absolutely something that cost us at least one goal this weekend.
You can double team, especially if you're trying to trap them against the boards. I don't think you need to triple team any player in this league. That's just using too many resources and leaving too many guys open. If we're gonna simplify, let's clean it up.
Yeah.
Beretta, what do you think needs to change moving forward? Any improvements?
It's really going to be hard to say. It's really going to be hard to say this season at this point for the remainder of the season, because a lot's going to change, given the state of the team and given where we're at. So I've already said it, and it's showed there. Run tracking is a big problem, needs to be corrected. I think this weekend we need to, apparently after this weekend, we need to stop airballing it. Because on Sunday, between airballing it and attempting the wall of scoras, that was our arsenal. That was what it seemed like we kept trying to do time and time again. Saturday, we didn't do that. Saturday, we didn't go for the wall of scorers all the time. Sunday, we definitely did. Sunday, it was just kick it off the boards and hope for the best. And it just wasn't working. So I think we still need to be more sure of ourselves on offense. I did see some people actually trying to take it down the field themselves, down the boards, instead of just immediately passing away the first time they hit resistance. That was nice to see. Some people were doing that. Pinal was doing it. I know I saw other people doing it, and I can't think of them right now, but I absolutely watched it happen 2 or 3 or 4 times. And it was nice to see that it wasn't just, hey, pass back and move on. It was, hey, I'm going to dribble past you guys, and there's not much you're going to do about it. Just, again, confidence on the team. They need to work on getting themselves more confident in themselves and their teammates. Defense, we need to be able to track these runners. We need to be able to yes, double team, but keep track of everyone in the process and not leave someone wide open to be able to just come in and take a shot. And yeah, I think, as much as man-to-man coverage is nice, it also runs your legs ragged. So I think we've always had issues with our zone, I feel like, and I think we need to, again, figure out what we're going to do there and work on that. So I think those are my three big ones.
Hmm. Okay, you got a positive takeaway.
Um, I liked what I saw on Saturday. I thought we had a good knockdown drag out fight against Baltimore. It was nice to see. I was very happy about that. If I had to pick one thing that I was happy about, it was the fact that we battled hard in that game. Um, and it just never felt like either side really ran away with it. And I liked seeing that. That was something that was I felt lacking in previous games, both this season and last. And just being able to watch the team really go into it and just, again, you didn't know for sure right up until the very last shot of the shootout. It's like, I don't know who's going to win this. I really don't. And it never felt like they stopped trying either. So that was my one positive takeaway, is just these guys can play. And it's just we only see a little bit of it here and there right now.
Yeah. Like positive is like as fans, you know where this team stands now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the decision was made. They've moved on from Everton. You know that change is coming. You're not left in limbo through the next 9 games of, is this going to be a rebuild with the full, this is our guys, this is our culture, this is our coach. We are doubling down and sticking with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know that there's change.
Yep.
And like I said earlier, I mean, it's the hope that kills you, but it's also the hope that keeps you hanging on. And as a fan, that little bit of, okay, there's clarification. I know what to expect moving forward, at least on this one subject, is kind of a relief.
Agreed.
And for the locker room as well, it has to be, yes, it is obviously going to cause some shakeup in the locker room just because the coach change happened mid-season. But at the same time, as players, you now know that I need to perform, or I'm every day, every game, every practice, I need to try to be the first one in, the last one out,
Mm-hmm.
to show that one, I want to be here, and two, I can take what is being simplified and put it into practice. Um, and work under a new system and under a new coach.
Right.
Like you don't want to be combative. You don't want to, and otherwise, if you don't want to do that, if you do want to push back and, Everton was my guy, I was his guy. Um, you're making it easy for Tommy to say like, okay, well, this guy clearly doesn't want to be here next year.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to be a big thing, is who on this roster can adjust to the changes made now, as well as the changes going forward, because we're not done. Obviously, we need a coach, a full-time coach, not just interim. So that's going to be something that's really going to come into play, is who's willing to play and not just be upset that our current coach is no longer there and all of a sudden start slacking and intentionally just not playing well. Like a couple that at least one that I saw. I'm not going to name him, but I saw it. So yeah, there people are going to need to show that they're willing to still play in the toy box, even without their favorite person, or the current head coach no longer being there. Which you should never get locked into someone being your head coach from a fan perspective or from a player perspective, because things move in this league all the time. It's just like any other sport. People move. People move around in this league quite often. Every year we're seeing new people land in different places that we never would have expected them to go. So it happens, and it's going to continue to happen. So these guys are definitely going to have to adjust. They're going to have to figure out if they really want to be here, or if they were just here because, things were the way they were. I don't know. But I think we're going to see a lot from these guys in the next couple months in terms of that.
Month and a half left.
Yeah.
Coaching search can begin. It's obviously not as competitive as other major sports, but like you said, we got 7-ish weeks before the end of the regular season, about 2.5 months, not even 7 weeks, more like 6 weeks.
Yep.
And then, a month-ish for the playoffs. So you have time as a franchise to evaluate your priorities, evaluate your roster based on who signed me on this season, and try to bring in a coach that can put these guys in the best possible chance to succeed.
Yeah.
Individually and as a team.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, any coach that comes in is going to have to, I don't want to say win favor with the players, but he's going to have to mesh with the players in some to some extent. Obviously, they're going to shape the team to how they feel it should be run, but there's always going to be some little nuances, some little compromises between both sides to be able to properly work together, and finding that right mesh, finding that right balance it's going to be tough. It's always going to be tough. So it's a busy, tough, difficult road ahead for Utica as a whole.
Yeah, I guess a quick little side story, just because bring up how coaching can go wrong. I don't know if anyone saw the Nick Castellanos story about out of Philadelphia. He was recently let go, and after a down season, but the story came out that this past year he walked into the manager's office, cracked open a beer, and then started cussing him out with the door open in front of the rest of the team. So it's like, oh, well, yeah, something like that happens. No wonder you're not around anymore. They're paying that guy $19 million to not play for the team.
Yep.
So, yeah, this happens at every level of professional sport.
Yep. I guess also side note, just because we talked about the trade earlier, Shalier is officially practicing in Empire. They put out a little 10-12 second video from him.
Yeah, he had an assist in his first game.
Oh, fine then. I just saw the video that came out like an hour ago. So,
all right, Brandon, I got one question before we talk this weekend. If you're Utica, is it time to wave the white flag on this season? There are 9 games left. You're 6 point out of playoff contention. You do have a game in hand against Empire, but Baltimore, who you also trail by 6 points, has a game in hand against you. You only play each of those teams one time, so you're going to have to rely on help. And there are only 3 home games left out of those 9. Are you waving the white flag and just focusing on next year and evaluating this team moving forward? Or are you doubling down on this roster and hoping to make a playoff push?
Have we not already? Given Tammy, I would love to have that confidence. Unfortunately, I think we are past that point. And I genuinely think that at this point, we are already just looking towards the next season. This season, unfortunately, I think is a wash, because there's too many moving parts now. We were already trying to kind of get the roster squared away, figure things out. And then this week happened. The past 7 days happened and sent the rest of the team into basically a tailspin. I really, I'm not saying that I'm giving up on the team, and I'm not saying that anyone else should, because they shouldn't. They shouldn't give up on the team. They shouldn't give up on what this team is capable of doing. But I've set my expectations, again, for the remainder of this season that I hope they show up. Next season, I'm looking towards next year at this point, because there's too much going on now. We're looking for a new coach. We've got Tommy acting as interim. We've got, some of the older talent like Joey coming back and doing whatever he's doing to assist the team in any fashion that he can. And I think the team and the organization as a whole is just looking towards next year. They're going to play, they're going to do what they can this season, but genuinely looking to the future. So I don't expect much this season. I would be very surprised if we made the playoffs, but it's not out of the realm of possibility yet, but it's close. It's a stretch to see us in the playoffs at this point. If they basically came back and just started winning everything, maybe, but I don't see it happening. And it sucks. It hurts. It hurts to say that, and it's not the fault of the team. It's not the fault. I mean, beyond the obvious. It's not. It's just circumstances at this point. And I have to base my thoughts on it based on the circumstances, based on the current status of affairs right now. And I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think it was after the Tacoma games where I said the good news was that I am numb to this team. The results don't matter anymore to me. I threw in the towel a few weeks back, like 5 games ago, where if they win, it's like, that was nice. And if they lose, I go, yeah, I saw that one coming. If they're competitive and it's entertaining, that's all I'm looking for at this point. And I want to see the younger guys just continue to work on developing. Get better at the simple things, get better at communicating, get better at being that trailing runner. Because if there was a single trailing runner on Logan Roberts' missed shot at the end of regulation against Baltimore, the middle of the field was wide open. If there was one Utica player pushing up, which there wasn't, there was no one on screen, no one like even within 20, 30 yards of it from what you could tell on camera. If there's one guy there, that game ends in regulation.
I forgot about that one. I remember calling that out. I remember screaming at my TV, basically being like, where is anyone? I understand, if I remember correctly, I understand that it was a man down scenario. I'm pretty sure it was on a penalty kill. One other person should have been there to help. That's all we needed, was somebody in that other position to just tap it in. and we would have been still would have been within one.
And the roof would have blown off of
Oh
the
my God. It
bank
would have
center.
had everybody would have been screaming their heads off,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have made such a difference for the team. I mean, that would have been
Yeah.
huge motivation to get that extra goal and tie it.
But yeah, no, I threw in the towel. It's something you do as a sports fan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just this league. I've done it for years. 2016 MLB season specifically, I will bring up because Yankees fans know it well, and we're a New York team, so I'm sure there are some other Yankees fans paying attention to this. But the team was a lot of older veteran players
Mm-hmm.
that weren't like they weren't just veteran, they were past their prime, they were nearing the end of the career. Um, August rolls around, they cut Alex Rodriguez, they bring up a couple of young guys and Tyler Austin, Gary Sanchez, and one Aaron Judge. And Gary Sanchez played like no other player had for the rest of that season.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was drawing Babe Ruth comparisons. And then the next year, there's a youth movement. The team comes out. You got Luis Severino as like the number two pitcher behind. Oh God, why am I blanking on the Japanese pitcher they had as their ace at that time? Whatever, not important. But a youth movement that electrified,
Yep.
and they made the playoffs as a wild card team, and things weren't great. You know, there was a lot of grumbling about managing of the bullpen at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and they overperformed in the playoffs. They ended up one game away from the World Series. And that was the year that the Houston Astros trash can incident happened. The massive cheating scandal. Thank you, Tanaka. Um, so like just having that little bit of I don't care how good this season is. I want to see these young guys do their best. I was there for Aaron Judge's final home run of his rookie record campaign
Mm-hmm.
where he hit 52. You know, we're like, oh, we're going to the wild card. Anything can happen in the playoffs. As a fan base going in with minimal expectations of, let's just see what happens. And then the team does better, feels so much better than just being like, yeah, we're going to be a mediocre team and we're a mediocre team. Or we know we're going to compete for a championship. We have every reason to be in that contender,
Mm-hmm.
and yet we can't get over the hill.
Yeah.
So, like, going into next year, knowing that there's that, whatever, if we're a 300 team, we're a 300 team, we're young. But we're acknowledging it in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So the expectation isn't, we're going to compete. We expect to make the playoffs, and then anything can happen.
With the squad that we have now, obviously the squad that we have now and the way that things are run right now isn't working. Clearly,
Right.
That's why we're making the changes we are. That being said, we're trying to go for a clean slate. We're trying to figure out what players mesh and what don't. And I say we, like you and I have any friggin' input, but you get what I mean. You know, they're looking for the core group again.
Yeah.
Similar to what we used to have when they first came in as Utica from being the Silver Knights. They already had that established group. They already had that established core. We need that core again of people who have been in this league for a little bit. And right now we don't have anybody that's besides Logan and Brian that have been around for a while. But Logan's in and out. You know, I know I saw somebody mention just the fact that he's only had like one full clean season and he's been out with injury for at least chunks of it otherwise, including this season. And Brian, he's a fantastic player, but he's a veteran, but he's not. And I've said this before because he's been on the team, but not really.
Kind of like the Mike Zierhofer thing where he took over for Vanzella,
Yes.
where it's like, yeah, you've been around, but you've been a backup, and now we're finally getting to see you
Or he just wasn't
ball
on
out
the
for
team.
yourself.
I
Yeah,
mean,
like
like
last
last
year.
last season, he was not. I know he was the second half, but the first
Yeah.
half he was not. He was not at all part of the team. So both of them are a little bit of a weird case as far as veteran leadership, air
Yeah.
quotes there. Um, and I mean, you know, when Logan was out, Juan was captain. He was doing all right. He was getting there. He was learning, but again, he's still a newer, fresher talent in this league. But
Hmm.
he was making strides. He was trying. Um, but it unfortunately it's really we need veteran leadership,
Yeah.
and that's what it seems like they're attempting to do by bringing in like Joey to be able to bring a veteran of this team in to give another perspective. So efforts seem to be being made, but completely looking to the future, which is fine.
Hmm.
And they seem to be making that fairly clear in their wording of stuff at the moment.
Yes.
So,
No, I mean, like if you were to tell me going into next season, uh, you wanted to keep a core of, and I'm just going to name a few. I don't want to go through everybody at this
yeah,
point,
yeah.
and say, you're keeping Juan on defense, Gio back there, who's been having a very solid season. Um, you want to keep Nilton Jr. as your two main forwards and get a third threat
Mm-hmm.
up top. Well, even though Nilton's a midfielder, but look for a third scoring threat. Um, and keep Brian, and then you're going to supplement the roster with some younger guys. Maybe it's Amadi, maybe it's Genrit, maybe it's we have no idea who the young guys could be. I like what I've seen out of Santos. Manny Silva and Toy Tavares showed great flashes last year, hasn't quite materialized this year. We don't know what the deciding factors are going to be on that. And then have veteran pieces like your Gordy Gerson,
Mm-hmm.
who, when healthy, is absolutely contributing.
Yep.
Uh,
100%.
Ankle issues have been a thing. Also, new father, well, newborn, not new father. He was the dad that stepped up. Um, and you have a Gordy Gerson, you have a Willie Spur, you have a few more pieces like that. You can rebuild this roster and be competitive in a season. And I don't mean like competitive in a, well, we're in every game, we just can't close them out.
Right.
I mean competitive in a, we might be around 500, but we're not going to feel hopeless
Mm-hmm.
at times. And that's unfortunately what has happened this season, where it's like, yeah, well, we might have the lead or we might be tied, but something's going to go wrong. You just know it.
And that's how every game is unfortunately felt is, when's the other foot going to drop?
Hmm. Yeah. So we're not done with the season, obviously, but we're done having expectations beyond, I don't want to say bare minimum, but beyond, let's just evaluate things and work towards being prepared for next year.
Yeah. Work towards a positive future going forward.
Hmm.
Not so much thinking like, oh, we're going to win it all at this point,
Yeah.
because that's a pipe dream. Um, and I mean, very soon it's going to be an impossibility officially.
Hmm.
So that's just kind of a matter of time.
All right, weekend predictions. We got two games. Saturday at St. Louis, Sunday at Kansas City. St. Louis, we just saw what happened to them. Kansas City, I don't know what to make of this team, honestly. They were a Ron Newman Cup favorite coming in. They were atop of the table. They're second in the league, third in goal differential, but they're 9-8, so it's not like they're blowing people out. We knew the league was going to be more competitive this year. Um, it's they're 4-2-2 at home.
Yeah.
St. Louis 5-1-1 at home.
Yeah, St. Louis is definitely they've defended their turf pretty
Hmm.
well.
Um, for Saturday's game, I have St. Louis winning that one 7-4. They're a little more offensive at home. We saw what they did to Tacoma. We know Utica doesn't travel well. They also don't bring extra legs in case anyone gets injured or is tired for the next day.
Mm, so I think I'm probably going to go opposite for this one, and there's a reason. Um, I know you say we don't travel super well, which is fair, which is accurate. I mean, but we have shown
We
up
don't
for.
we don't play well at home either.
I was going to say, I mean, yeah, it's just kind of a across the board type thing. It's just a bad year. Um, but I mean, we did show up in like, we've showed up in like Empire, and
Hmm.
Empire's beaten a lot of teams that we couldn't. I mean, they've beaten San Diego in their house twice,
Twice.
which baffles me. Um,
Both in
which
overtime too.
I haven't checked up on the story. Side note, wishing Charlie Gonzalez all the best. Hoping for, I didn't see exactly, I don't know if there was an official announcement for what his injury ended up being, but I know he took a really bad tumble in the Empire game, and wishing him a speedy recovery and hoping all the best. Just wanted to bring that up because it just came to mind when I was thinking about San Diego. Um, as far as us, uh, we're going to have fresh legs. So will they. And it's not like a West Coast game where we're adjusting for the clocks necessarily. We are and we're not. It's not as much, not as pronounced.
Hmm.
Um, I would like to see two things I think will help us to win this one. Number one is certain players that didn't really do much, like really kind of were very lax in the first game against Baltimore, and then started to pick it up in the second game against the Ambush. I want to say I need to see more from them. Um, if they pick it up, I think the other people around them will pick it up, and um, basically this one I think play like there's no tomorrow. I know that we got to play Kansas City, but this one I think we play like we don't have a game the next day, to an extent. So in that regard, I want to take. I'm taking Utica. What was your score again? I'm sorry, 7-4. Saint
7-4.
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
I'm gonna go for the repeat and say 6-4 the other way.
6
Six
for
four
Utica.
Utica.
All right, let me pull up this score sheet so we can keep track. 7-4 loss. 6-4 win. Okay. Which, coming out of the weekend, you did take 4-3. That overtime point stood big for you.
Getting better.
Do you have a prediction for Kansas City?
Yes, but it's not great. Um, so I'm kind of harkening back to our first game against them, which second game, sorry, which was not good. First game was close, 8-7. Second game was 11-5 blowout at home. This is our first time going to Kansas City this team or this year. So going to the other blue turf. And I don't have high hopes for this one. Simply because just like Utica, Kansas City's a hard place to play in. The fans are vocal in a good way. And these guys play well at home. Not super well, but I mean, better than us. So and it's actually a little bit of an earlier game for us. Because I see it's at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock. So that's kind of nice, at least. I'm gonna say, because we have had difficulty tracking, and there's a lot of people to track on that team. Rayon Marquez, Zach Reggett, Dom Francis, Nacho Flores. Like, there's a lot of people that can do a lot of damage on that team. And because we can't track our runners right now, it's going to cause problems. So 10-6, Kansas City.
Okay.
I agree, Tammy, that we can beat Kansas City, but because we haven't played them in their house yet, that's the only reason that I'm really kind of I can't give it to us on this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I expect it to be a rough one. Whatever. Look, I don't see Utica walking out of this with any points. I expect it to be a bit of a beatdown. But Kansas City hasn't been as explosive offensively this year as I thought they would be.
Agreed. Yep.
And Utica's offense tends to show up sporadically. So I have this going 8-4 Kansas City.
Okay.
Same spread as you, just a little less firepower.
Yeah. Which, I mean, even 6 is a little bit high for us, given we only scored that at home, the first game. But I'm kind of taking the middle ground of the two games combined, so to speak, and just kind of taking the middle ground there. And that's Sean brings up a good point. Is just it's the second game of a 2-game stretch again, and
we ran out across Missouri,
and we ran out of gas at home. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like going out there, but hopefully we can stay out of overtime for the first game.
Hey, be nice to me, Kate. This is not based on my opinions of Missouri. I have a coworker who has lived in New York and Arkansas throughout his life, and I just talked about with him that I had driven out to Missouri and barely gotten into it, and how boring and rough the drive is. He goes, "Man, I've driven from Arkansas to New York a handful of times, enough, since he's been driving on his own.
Yeah,
and the Missouri stretch is worse than Ohio, and that is something."
That's saying something for sure.
Show me state, flyover states. Oh well, at least we don't have to do the traveling. Sorry to the team that does.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's gonna do it for us this week. That was a lot. We know it was an extra long episode, but we knew it was going to be going into it.
Oh yeah. No, that had to happen in order to be able to get through all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Brand, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think all I'm going to say is, it may not be great right now. It may be hard to watch at times. But stick with these guys. I mean, I'm still going to, I'm going to be going to the games. I'm going to be cheering these guys on. I'm going to be going over to 72 after the fact, and win or loss, we're going to, I'm going to be there to try and, stick it out with the team. So, I mean, continuing to have the support system, even in times like these where they're not great, it's just going to further solidify who wants to be here and who doesn't care as much about where they are as long as they're playing. So we as fans can almost help to root out who's who just based on not only their performance on the field, but their performance and just how they are with us when we're giving our all to support them and we're just not getting the same in return. So just stick it out for the guys that are genuinely trying, because they'll appreciate it more than you know. And, let's stick it out together. Let's make it through this season and see what the future's got for us. Because, if we can hold on to some of these key people and add to it next season, I think, there's potentially light at the end of the tunnel. I just don't know when it's going to be. It may be, next year. It may be, who knows?
Yeah.
But it sucks right now, but I think we'll get there.
Yeah, that's sports.
That's sports.
That's sports. That's going to do it for us. You know where our social media is. Facebook, Instagram are where we're most active. Got that TeePublic store. I went and deactivated some stuff on it. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't touched this in like 2 years because I just haven't been inspired.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the closest I got was with Kelvin, and that was dependent on him coming back.
Which didn't end up.
Nope.
Yeah.
Which is why that design that I sent you a rough draft of never went anywhere. I don't know. I know you want a no Pinal, no party because Philly wants a no Pinal, no party,
Yes.
but like, I don't have a good idea for that.
I know that'd be a hard one. That'd be a hard one to do. You'd have to. I mean, we'd have to get the right picture.
I'm gonna need like a Pinal and a birthday hat, kind of, and then to use that as the A for no Pinal, no party, or in one of those.
Yeah, the right picture just might not exist to be able to work off of right now. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see what happens.
I tried, Philly. I tried.
Until next time, that's Brandon. I'm Matt. We know it's rough right now, but still, go Utica.
And thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing, go Utica City.